Did you know that will and be going to are not the only tenses that you can use for a future situation? Let's check out how. Hi, I'm Tara, and I'm the Academic Director of KTI English. I have almost 20 years of experience in the ESL industry, teaching ESL to everyone from 5-year-olds to 75-year-olds. And at KTI English, we have helped many students pass English exams like IELTS, TOEFL, CELPIP, etc. And our main goal at KTI English is to help you reach your English goals and improve your fluency and boost your confidence. So continuing on from last week, when we discussed the future simple verb tense, will and be going to, today we're going to look at how to use the present continuous verb tense, I am doing, in a future situation. This is actually very similar to how we discussed the be going to verb. So I am going to travel to Mexico next month, or I am traveling to Mexico next month. Both of them are very similar. First, let's review the be going to verb tense. So one of the ways that we use the be going to verb tense is for a prior plan. So what that means is the plan, the action is actually in the future. It's a future event, but the decision to do that event was made in the past. Okay, I think one of the examples we gave in our last video was about registering for a new school. So maybe yesterday I registered for that new school. I signed the registration form. The course does not start until next month. So I might say I am going to start a new school next month. In a similar way, we could also say, I am starting a new school next month. So let's take a look at that. First of all, the present continuous tense. How do we make it? The present continuous tense is made by adding the present form of the be verb. So that's is, am, or are, with verb 3, the present participle. So that's the verb plus ing. Okay? So for example, I am starting a new school next month. He is starting a new school next month. They are starting a new school next month. Is starting, am starting, are starting. That is the present continuous verb tense. Okay. Now, let's look at how to use this for the future. Before that, let's take a look at this. So normally this verb tense that we all learn in school is used for something that's happening at the time of speaking. So like I mentioned earlier, I am filming a video. I am teaching grammar. I am talking about verb tenses. Those are all things that are happening right now. But we can also use this. The definition is a future arrangement. So what that means is it's something that will happen in the future, and I have already made arrangements or made plans for that to happen. Okay? So for example, I could say, I am getting married next month, or I am visiting my sister in the US next week. Okay? I am getting, I am visiting. Those are all the present continuous tense. But I'm saying next month or next week. So it's actually happening in the future. Okay, now let's take a look at this. So it's very similar to the I'm going to verb. So I could say I'm getting married next month, or I'm going to get married next month, okay? If I say I'm going to get married, that's the proper future tense, right? That we learned last week in our last video. Or I could say I'm visiting my sister in the US, or I'm going to visit my sister in the US next week. I'm going to visit is that verb tense, the future simple verb tense that we studied in our last video. But let's take a look at what the slight difference is, okay? The biggest difference here is that arrangements have been made, okay? So let me tell you a little story, okay? First of all, let's go back to the will verb tense. We also discussed in our last video. If you missed that video, go back and check that out. Will is also used for something that will happen in the future, but I'm deciding right now that it's going to happen. I'm making that decision at the time of speaking. So let's take the example of a wedding proposal, okay? You're dating someone, you're falling in love, and you decide you want to get married. Okay, so at the time when the man asks the woman, will you marry me? He says, will you? Not, are you gonna marry me? Not, be marrying me, okay? But will you marry me? And she hopefully answers, yes, I will. That is because the decision is being made right then. The marriage, the wedding, will be in the future, but the decision to do that is happening right now, so we say will. Will you marry me? Yes, I will. Now, the next day, the happy couple share the news with their friends and family, right? So they call their parents, they call their best friend, and they say, guess what? Guess what? I am going to marry Calvin. So at that point, I now switch it to I'm going to marry, because again, the wedding is in the future, but the decision was made yesterday. I said yes yesterday. I got the ring yesterday. So today I say I'm going to marry him, okay? But we haven't set a date yet. No payments have been made. We haven't hired the caterer or the DJ or the band. I haven't bought my wedding dress. Nothing has been done. No arrangements have been done. So if we were to change our mind, really there's no cost to us at that point, except maybe a broken heart, right? But let's say a few months later, we've started to plan the wedding. Now I've bought my wedding dress. He's rented his suit. We've paid a deposit for the wedding venue, the hall. We've talked to our pastor at church. We have ordered the flowers and ordered the cake and ordered everything. And we've put our deposits. We've paid thousands of dollars in deposits for this wedding that will happen in the future, right? So at that point, we can now switch to I am marrying Calvin next month. At that point, it's much more certain. Okay? I've already paid thousands of dollars. Arrangements have been made. Now, if one of us were to change our mind, it would cost us a lot of money. So really, we're much more certain than we were that first day after the proposal. So you see how that goes. When he asks me, will you marry me? Yes, I will. The next day, we share the news. I'm going to marry Calvin. He's going to marry me. Okay? But then after we start making plans and we start making arrangements, then we can say with more certainty, I am marrying him next month. He is marrying me next month. Okay? Let's take one more example. Okay? Let's take with the example of I'm going to visit my sister in the US next week, or I am visiting my sister in the US next week. Very similar kind of story, okay? Let's say I'm chatting with my sister on the phone. I'm chatting with my sister on the phone and she says, hey, I'm settled into my new house. I really wish you could come and visit me in my new house and see everything. And I say, you know what? I will visit you. I say I will at that point because I'm deciding during that conversation that I want to visit her in the future. So I will visit you. Now again, maybe next week, I still haven't taken time off of work. I haven't bought an airplane ticket yet. But now I'm talking to my parents and I tell them, oh, I'm going to visit my sister. I would use her name if I'm talking to my mom and dad, right? I'm going to visit Trisha in the US next month, next week, whenever it is. But we will use that when I haven't made the arrangements yet. I made the decision the other day when I was talking to her on the phone, but I have not booked the flight yet. So at that point, I say I'm going to visit her. Now, I've talked to my boss. I've asked for some vacation time. I went and I booked my airplane ticket. I used my Visa card. It's now charged. Money has been spent. Okay, now it is much more certain that I am traveling. I am visiting. So now I will switch to the present continuous verb tense. I am traveling to the US next week. I am visiting my sister next week. We know that it is happening. Even just look at those two sentences. If I say it is going to happen, or I say it's happening, okay, where is the certainty? When I say it's happening, obviously it could be something happening right now, but I often use that for something that's in the future, but it's certain. It's certain that it's going to happen, okay? So that I show that certainty by saying, it's happening, folks, okay? It's happening. It's really, really happening. There's a level of certainty that comes across when you use that verb tense instead of using the I'm going to. Now, you're not going to be wrong if you say I'm going to visit or I'm going to travel tomorrow. It's not wrong. It just doesn't have that natural tone, okay? Native English speakers will naturally use I'm doing when the certainty is nearly 100%. Even though it's not happening at this moment, it's going to happen in the future, but the certainty is there. And that's the important thing. So if you liked this video and you found it helpful, please hit the subscribe button just below to make sure that you catch all of our upcoming videos. And also you can head on over to ktienglish.com and sign up for our newsletter. Check out our blog for more detailed information on all of these topics. And finally, I want to let you know that we are working on an online course specifically for verb tenses. And we're going to look deep into all 12 of the different verb tenses and how they are used in our daily lives. Not just how to make the sentence, but really how to know which verb tense to choose. That's gonna be a big part of the online course, is comparing verb tenses. When to use verb tense A and when to use verb tense B. Because a lot of verb tenses really are similar, like we looked at today. When should we use I'm going to travel and when should we use I'm traveling? They're similar, so let's compare those differences. Please check back for more information. We'll put information in the description as we have more information available. We're still working on the course, so hopefully it will be up and running for you soon. And now I'm going to turn it over to you. Please put some sentence examples in the comments below. I would love to check your examples and make sure that you're understanding and using everything you learned today correctly. Have a great day.